2024, the NTT IndyCar Series is underway here in St. Pete. Newgarden leads the field, but watch that orange and black car. Pato Award on the inside, couldn't quite get there.
Oh, but 4 wide further back with Romain Grosjean dropping back. There's contact with some of those green and black cars. That's Marcus Armstrong as well, and Rinus VeeKay comes out the lead of the 3 green and blacks.
This is where we had all the issues last year. The top of your screen, turn 3, it looks like it's all clear. We see Palou trying to go down the inside of, I think, Christian Lundgaard into turn 4. A little bit of contact there. Everybody getting through.
No, I think Lundgaard's got a flat right rear on the 45.
Will Power, Marcus Armstrong, Scott Dixon. Puncture is the call. Well spotted, T-Bell. This is the Hy-Vee Honda. Problems for Lundgaard. He's wounded.
Jamming up the back of the field here. They're all desperate to get by, but Lundgaard desperate to try to get to pit lane.
So now you see he's gone driver's right to defend against Palou. Palou tries to sneak it up the inside. There's the contact.
Who got him?
It was Alex Palou.
Under caution for the first time on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. Unfortunately, it is for the 23-year-old New Zealander, Marcus Armstrong in the Ridgeline Lubricants Honda. This is what happened. Watch the green car.
Turn 10, just a little hot on the brakes, locks the left front. He thinks about trying to maybe take the overshoot, and he's like, I can make the corner, and he just runs out of room.
This is really going to change the strategy. The lead teams wanted to go about 5 more laps. Almost a collision there on pit road, and Joseph Newgarden, who has led every lap to this point, will lose the lead here on pit road. I believe that's Colton Herta that came off with a diff.
Watch the blue and white car. Look at the one in the middle, Colton Herta, but Felix Rosenqvist on the right is ahead. Watch the line out. Rosenqvist wins it, even though Herta goes ahead, but it's addressed once they get back out on track. We're back racing here in St. Pete.
So this will be interesting because Lundgaard probably can hang on here for maybe 4 or 5 laps before he has to make his pit. He'll try to stretch as long as he can as Rinus VeeKay goes inside.
Scott Dixon.
But it also just shows the Ganassi car struggling a bit as Newgarden makes the move on Colton Herta, takes that position back that he lost in pit lane. Very decisive.
Here we go, Award on the inside of Herta.
Again, the tire advantage, and now McLaughlin taking advantage of a slow exit from Colton.
Newgarden now is going to go at Rosenqvist again inside turn 1.
Race lead.
Still there.
Well, effective race lead to Joseph Newgarden. Lundgaard is out in front at the moment, but Joseph Newgarden, who, by the way, won the Rolex 24 at Daytona this year. Here's Pato Award on the inside of his old teammate. He gets Rosenqvist as well.
Look at VeeKay making the move on the red and white black Verizon car here of Will Power.
So Marcus Ericsson just started losing positions and has come in here. They have shut off the car, it looks like. So a problem for Marcus Ericsson, the winner last year.
Distinct as we see Linus Lundqvist in the tires at turn 10.
Is there contact with Romain Grosjean? There sure is. The Honko's hauling a Chevy shoveled him in there. Here we go! Green again at St. Pete. Let's race to the end, or will we? Newgarden with a good restart. Award, and look at McLaughlin. He's diving, he's weaving, he's getting impatient. And on the inside, Felix Rosenqvist defends from Will Power. McLaughlin, the white and red car. On the inside, he's going for it on Herta. Good move there from Alex Palou. He gets Felix Rosenqvist. The champ in the DHL Honda. That bright red and yellow car continues to climb his way up the order.
A day that started so promising. Romain Grosjean is not going to end the way he liked. He just pulled into pit lane and has climbed out of the car.
What a way to start a new championship season. Indy 500 winner, Rolex 24 at Daytona winner, St. Pete winner for the 3rd time. The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete belongs to Joseph Newgarden.
Great job, everybody. Really nice execution. Thanks for all the work.
Nicely done, Joseph. Nicely done.
Up next, it's the Thermal Club $1 million Challenge, Sunday, March 24th at 12:30 p.m. on NBC.
And with that, welcome to episode number 44 of the Push to Pass. Josh, first and foremost, thank you for joining us as you always do. I know you had a busy weekend, so hopefully you were able to catch the race there that we just, put up on screen for everyone. But huge congratulations goes out to Joseph Newgarden and the PPG Team Penske Chevrolet entry as a dominant performance to open up the 2024 season with his win there at the streets of St. Petersburg in the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Josh, what are your thoughts before we get in and break this race down and discuss it? Hopefully you were able to catch some of it. And what was your takeaways?
I was at work and wasn't able to watch it, but I did get a chance in my van while I was sitting, be able to listen to the race. It was a dominant win for Newgarden. Once again, Pato is still looking for that white dress to be the bride and not the bridesmaid. Coming in second again, but. Overall, it was a relatively clean race. They did avoid the first turn pile up that they did last year. They didn't have that this year. Couple drivers dropped out early. Armstrong. So that kind of puts those ones that were that got knocked out. I believe Stingray Robb, my favorite driver, just because of his name. He did not have a successful day to my that I'm remembering. So it was one heck of a race. Just seemed like Newgarden had an extra gear. You know, if that's even possible, he had an extra gear that Pato nor my choice for the win, which would have been Colton Herta. Neither one of them had anything for Joseph Newgarden. It was a dominant win from start to finish, and he builds on the momentum that he had last year with all the wins that he racked up. So we will see how it goes later on in the year, but Newgarden off to a dominant start. And I believe we've lost Derik for a few minutes. So here I want to I just the scenery of that race just is breathtaking. You know, I know here in Indy we had good weather, but down there it was it was stunning. Oh, look, there we go. We're back.
We that's somebody we talked about a lot in last week's show. In the toolbox, so to say, to keep up with Team Penske, so that the has coming out and finishing second, opening up the season, but yet again, and you're right there on the doorstep, and you just can't quite break through. Disappointing day. A lot of had Marcus Armstrong that eventually wrecked out and couldn't finish. So not Alex Palou, the defending series champion, was the face of Chip Ganassi Racing for now. Scott Dixon really wasn't a player in this. Bon Jovi radio that's on Sirius XM was actually the title sponsor on that car. I know a lot of buzz around the paddock this weekend, opening up the 2024 season, and also too the crowds, Josh, when they are, excuse me, we'll go over the results of the race here. Let me get up on your screen, and you know what? That is actually tougher for me to read than what I thought it would be. So let me pull this up real quick for myself, and then we'll look at it on. You got to be prepared. Got to be prepared. I thought I'd be able to read that, but obviously that's not going to happen. And the winner of the race, Joseph Newgarden. Then it was Pato Award, Scott McLaughlin, Will Power, Colton Herta, Alex Palou, Felix Rosenquist, Alexander Rossi, Scott Dixon, and surprise Rinus VeeKay. Round out your top 10. Then it was Santino Ferrucci. Great start for AJ Foyt Racing. They have a partnership, actually, Josh, with Penske, I do believe. So you see that already paying off in the 2024 season. Kyle Kirkwood, Callum Ilott, who's subbing in for David Malukas. If you weren't able to watch the race on Sunday, it was reported that Malukas is going to miss 2 race weekends from now at the Thermal Club. And then he is expected to be back the following week at Long Beach. So we'll see how that plays out. The highest finishing rookie for Chip Ganassi Racing was Kiffin Simpson in 14th. And then it was Petro Fittipaldi, Graham Rahal, Tom Bloomquist, Augustine Canapino, Jack Harvey, and Christian Lundgaard round out the top 20. Then it was Christian Rasmussen, Colin Brown, Linus Lundqvist, Roman Grosjean, Marcus Ericsson, Stingray Robb, and Marcus Armstrong round out the field of 27. So next, let's take a look at the first installment of the point standings as they are. Obviously, there'll be a change between now and when the championship is awarded at the McLaughlin, are your top 3. Then Will Power, Colton Herta, Alex Palou, Felix Rosenquist, Alexander Rossi, Scott Dixon, Rinus VeeKay, Santino Ferrucci, and Kyle Kirkwood. Then it is Callum Ilott, Kiffin Simpson, Petro Fittipaldi, Graham Rahal, Tom Bloomquist, Augustine Canapino, Jack Harvey, Christian Lundgaard, Christian Rasmussen. Wow, Christian Lundgaard, Christian Rasmussen, Colin Brown, Linus Lundqvist, Roman Grosjean, Marcus Ericsson, Stingray Robb, Marcus Armstrong are your top 27. So that is what the points look like here in this opening race. Obviously, a lot's going to change in between now and then, Josh. So, it's early. So if your favorite driver like Stingray Robb is down to make that up. Now, you talked about our race picks for this week, and basically, if you're new to the show, what we try to do here is we will pick a obviously a race for last year to the show. That didn't happen very often, so I better savor the flavor because I didn't lead much in picks last year, if you remember so much. So getting back to the race, Josh, any surprises Anything driver wise, like I said, it was people that are into racing. That's one aspect of IndyCar that they don't like, is that follow the leader mentality and the fuel strategy. I know Will Power had an interesting comment afterwards that he wished the race was a little bit longer because it's tough to make any type
Yeah, I think Derek was just asking me about different aspects of the race, and I know as he was alluding to, Will Power had wanted to make the race a little bit longer. With the follow the leader mentality, and everyone having to conserve fuel. And it does make for a bit of a boring race. It's I'm always an oval racer. I've grown up watching ovals, but yeah, the follow the leader mentality, pit uh, saving fuel to try to get to the end is always an interesting strategy. You wish there were cars that were able to just go full bore out there and not have to worry about that. But as always in auto racing, fuel strategy is one thing plays heavily into it. Also, tire strategy. Are you going to start with those alternate tires? Or are you going to start with the black tires? I know there were a couple drivers that went with the alternate tires to begin with, and they wish they would have saved those towards the end because when they started the race, that there wasn't much rubber down on the track, and so those alternate tires didn't do too well, and they thought the later on in the race the alternate tires would have done them a lot better. But my biggest takeaway from this whole weekend is just Joseph Newgarden's dominance over this race. Him and his team showed up prepared, and they were able to execute. Also, one of the other things that impressed me the most was Chevy went 1, 2, 3, 4 over Honda. Honda's going to have to step up their game in engine performance, because if if the Chevys keep driving like they did, the manufacturers championship's going to be out the window pretty early.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that. I completely forgot about that. But yeah, not only the dominating performance that Joseph Newgarden had, but you think about it, just 1 year ago, um, Team Penske took another win here with Scott McLaughlin award, having that engine slip up right there towards the end of the race that again put him in second. So it does seem like Team Penske does have a strong hand on the streets of St. Petersburg. And then yeah, what a showing Chevrolet has had to right here in the first race on Sunday, as you said there. Going 1, 2, 3, and 4. Colton Hurd, I do believe, was the only non-Chevy in the top 5. So, Honda, as the season goes along, obviously is going to have to get their stuff together, and I'm sure they will. But there has been a lot of rumblings, and I know we've touched on it on this show about Honda to fruition. What IndyCar is going to do for another manufacturer, because obviously, see what Honda does, and then what the Honda drivers do going forward to try to
well, that's race one done with Dale Coyne Racing, and honestly, I just feel like we're finally starting to get a little momentum today. We can work with this entire platform, this program. It's going to take work. We knew that. We went into the season and into the weekend with our eyes fully open,
post-race.
probably aware of what the expectations were. And I mean, at the end of the day, we've gained, 8 positions today. You know, pit stops were clean. Everything on the driving side looked pretty good. So, I mean, what do we need to do now? We need to work really hard to find some more pace. We know that. We're going to go and push ourselves the best we can to do it.
Solid day today for us at AJ Foyt Racing. We brought our Sexton Properly Chevrolet really close to the top 10. Obviously missing that by 1 spot, but overall it was a good race. You know, made up some spots at the start, just stayed clean, and we had some clean pit stops. It is what it is. It was a tough race, tough place to pass, and we gave it everything we had, and happy with the result. On to film.
Well, today did not go as planned. I think that we had a lot of pace in the car today, which was good. That was really good to see. We were going forward through the pit stops as well. The crew did a good job to get me a couple spots through pit lane, which was awesome. And then after the restart there at the beginning of the race, we were fighting forward, made up a spot, getting ready to go for another, and just brake failure down into 1. So thankfully was able to keep it out of the wall and no damage other than a little fire burns on the wheels, but nothing other than that. Just frustrating day. Wanted to start the year on a good note, but huge thank you to AJ Foyt Racing, Prix.com for all their hard work, and we're going to get better, and I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, so I think all in all, a good day for me here. My goal was to run all the laps. I made a little mistake in turn 10, got some brake lock up, decided to go straight, took a minute to get reverse, so we lost 1 lap. So I guess I missed out on 1 single lap, but overall, really good day for me personally. Stayed out of trouble, did the pit stops, learned a ton, saw the track progression, saw what the marbles did offline, like a lot to take in. But, these Dale Coyne guys did great pit stops. I think we had good strategy. And, of course, everyone wants to finish better and improve. But, learned a lot and looking forward to next time for sure.
We finished in St. Petersburg, P18 finally. We were battling for top 14, top 15, but unfortunately I did a little mistake trying to overtake Callum, and I went wide a little bit, and I lost 4 or 5 positions. But anyway, it's part of the racing. The good thing is we were competitive, we were always in a good pace. We need to continue our improvement about the pit stops, the fuel numbers, everything with the team. We're still new, we're still growing, but I'm happy with our pace this weekend. It's a good way to start. We take some points. Now focus on next.
On the reds, which I think ended up maybe not being the right strategy, but at that point you're not sure if they're going to on the reds, which I think ended up maybe not being the right strategy, but at that point you're not sure if they're going to hold on or not, so you can't be super aggressive the first thing. Then after that it seemed like a lot of people used their reds. We only had 1 set, so you just kind of had to stick it on black. We had 1 little hiccup in the pits, lost a little bit. Considering all that, we had a pretty solid day. I don't think it was, maybe that's the top 5 minutes. I just struggled a little bit. We had some technical issues with some stuff, but super happy with the whole team effort, My Time Racing and Sirius Sexton, Automation. Just brilliant first weekend together. Even if it was on a P7, we went there and said, if we get a top 10, we're in it, and we just had to get some solid points to start off the season. Good.
I want to send a big thank you out to all the drivers that
Huge
gave
thank
us
you
interviews.
to all of the drivers that we were able to speak with there Sunday.
Say that again, Derek. I didn't hear you. I could not hear what you had asked. What you asked, Eric.
Raise alarms with you, or is it just they sound pretty frustrated on their finish?
I didn't catch any of that, Derek. If you were asking, yeah, there were a lot of drivers that were frustrated by their finishing position, but it's only the first race of the season, so they've got a lot of data that they can send through their computers and figure out the how better to set up the car. I'm not too familiar about Thermal Club, other than it's a high-priced club track out in California. It's going to be interesting to watch that race here in about a week and a half.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we when we're able to go out to the Thermal Club, because, like I said, I've never been out there. Obviously, you know. For some money. So that'll be quite interesting to see. I know we'll talk about a lot about that, both able to dive into the Thermal Club and look at that track and so on and so forth. I know Mike will be joining us here in about 10 minutes or so to talk betting. And I know, Tony and him were on the boots or on the ground last weekend. Mike's picks were absolutely spot on. From the betting side of you, before you talk to Mike, was there any bets that you did place this weekend that you were able to cash out on?
No bets that I cashed out on. I put $20 down on Pato to win, and even though I chose Colton Herta, I still couldn't deny the fact that Pato is great at this track great at St. Petersburg, but once again I was not able to walk away with any cash. I will definitely do some research on the Thermal Club and see what kind of racetrack that is. But no, I was not able to cash out this time to pay for my Peacock subscription. Were you able to cash any money out?
I didn't put anything on this weekend. I was kind of curious to see go from there. So it sounds like when Mike joins us here in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so, it sounds, if I remember correctly, him and Tony did say that their bets this weekend or this past weekend were going to help people cash for that Peacock subscription. I think of what, $5.99, I think it is a month. So going to be interesting to hear about the betting aspect, and then the experience in general. Like I said, we did talk to them last week. If you missed it, and they were boots on the ground there. Like I said, it sounded like from all of the comments on social media to obviously the TV broadcast, it did seem like there was a great crowd. Can't wait to see what the official numbers are. When those do come in, we'll get to you. We'll pass them to you, pass them along to you. But yes, I am kind of curious to see what these numbers look like because this is a big year for in for NASCAR. Wow. For IndyCar on NBC, because if on Sunday that the contract between IndyCar and NBC is up. There was some unhappy fans about, and I was actually speaking with one of them, is the lack of, so to say, post race coverage on Peacock, and that also it stuck out to me as well, because I was watching the post race there, and they obviously talked to Joseph Newgarden and one or two other drivers, and then other than that, Peacock went to another event. So it's going to be interesting to see with uh, uh, doing with their contract being up at the end of the season, if maybe coverage of IndyCar, or if this was just Peacock being behind scheduling wise, and they had a lot to chew on, a lot to talk about here as as the IndyCar season gets along, especially when it comes to television, because outside of NBC, I think the only channels IndyCar is on, obviously in NBC, Peacock, and USA. I think other than that, no other TV. What NBC decides to do, or if and when they do, Josh, to renew that TV contract for 2025 and beyond.
Definitely. I feel like I feel like if you watch Fox, the just, I know we're not talking about NASCAR, but if you watch Fox and their coverage of NASCAR, they get interviews from almost every single driver, that whether they finished in last or all the way up to victory lane. They're taking at least a good 30-40 second soundbite from each driver and what they saw out there. And then when you get into victory lane, they're doing an extensive 2 to 3 to maybe 5 minutes roundup of what the winner saw out there and how tough it was to be out there that day. So it does look bad on NBC / Peacock that they only talked to a few drivers and then got to something else. I don't know if that was, like you said, if they were running behind. I don't think this race took an absorbent amount of time to happen. So if maybe they didn't figure in time for post race activities, but NBC's got to do a better job of supporting and broadcast, and not broadcasting, and advertising the sport that they have on at this particular point in the season, in the year. I don't know if they've done statistics or studies and shown that the average IndyCar fan doesn't stay with the program after the checkered flag is flown, or what. But it was disappointing to see that the lack of post race coverage, as it would. And I don't know what IndyCar would do if NBC did not renew the contract with IndyCar. There's obviously other avenues out there that they could go, but that would be a massive loss for IndyCar if they were to lose NBC.
It would be a massive loss. I think you're absolutely right. But then, second of all, I'd be curious to see what TV channel or what network does decide to pick up where NBC left off. But I'm kind of curious, what do you think, in your opinion, is an adequate amount of time to do a post race show? Because I know hour 45 minutes, but you think about it, They also recap throughout the week, and then with NASCAR having their own Sirius XM station, I know they go for like 2.5, 3 hours after the race. But with TV shows throughout the week like NASCAR does, and I know IndyCar doesn't go as long on Sirius XM because they just do the whatever the broadcast is and however long Mark James and that great crew, the IndyCar Nation on Sirius XM. So in your opinion, what do you think would be an adequate amount of time for Peacock, NBC, whoever is time for a post-race show?
That's a tough question. It would probably, I would say, anywhere from the half hour to 45-minute range. You're not it. I've never been to a IndyCar race outside of attended one outside of in the Indy 500, and it takes the driver that wins. They go around the track, they wave at the crowd. It takes a little while to get the car to victory lane. So in that filling time, while the winner's going around thanking all the fans, waving, getting the car there, they could be talking to all the drivers. We could have better interviews to be able to show you guys rather than the one. I mean, we had one of the interviews. We love all our interviews, but one of them was interrupted by lug nuts being taken off of a car. I mean, NBC just does not dedicate enough time to IndyCar, in my opinion. Not only does NASCAR have the Sirius XM radio, Fox gives them a show on FS1. I know NBC Sports there used to be an NBC Sports channel. I'm not sure. I don't think that exists anymore. But I just don't think IndyCar that NBC gives IndyCar enough time to be able to or enough time or exposure to get their drivers out there. They're not growing the sport outside of they're not helping grow the sport outside of doing heavy coverage on the Indy 500, and we all know that the Indy 500 is a fantastic thing, but that your series cannot be based around one large event. NASCAR has Talladega. They have Martinsville. They have fantastic tracks all over their schedule, and all those tracks are featured heavily. They do histories on them. They do. You've got spin to wins for NASCAR. Anything and everything they could do to tout a track, Fox does. NBC doesn't do that other than with the Indy 500. And you're gonna get great ratings in the Indy 500, but outside of the Indy 500, if you're not touting any other racetracks, if you're not touting Texas, if you're not showing what the history of Long Beach or Milwaukee or Iowa, the fantastic atmosphere in Iowa. If you're not broadcasting or you're not hyping those tracks up like NBC should, you're not going to grow the sport. You're not going to get new viewers, and eventually NBC's just gonna say, wash their hands of it and say, nope, we're not getting the ratings we're wanting, so we're going to sever this contract. And I think it's IndyCar's fault, and it's also NBC's fault. It's a big thing they're missing out on.
There are, IndyCar doesn't have to overhaul a lot. We're not asking them to overhaul the whole sport. We're just asking them to make finer tweaks here and there. I know, you and Mike and Tony Tony and I'd imagine probably a lot more people are outspoken about the and run with it, because I think that would grow the sport. These are Tuesdays on FS1, but outside of seeing an IndyCar race at whatever track they're racing at that weekend, other than that, you don't see shows like that are dedicated to that sport, to IndyCar, to growing the sport. So, we're not just asking to make little tweaks in there, because we know that the ceiling for this sport it's just making these little tweaks here and there, Josh.
Definitely tweaks here and there would be fantastic. Uh, Another thing that they could do is I don't they could show how the crowds are. We'll Mike from Indy Bets is getting ready to come on here, and we'll talk to him about that, about what the crowds were like. What's the atmosphere like at that race? Is it subdued? Is it exciting? Are there always? There he is. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Fantastic, fantastic. Me and Derik were just talking about some of the things that NBC could do to hype up the races a little bit more. We were talking. Derik had brought up the fact that some people were upset that on Peacock and on NBC there wasn't much post race coverage. I know you're here on the betting side, but you were at the race this weekend. What was the atmosphere like from the stands and what was it like?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of chatter about that, man. Man, the race was packed. I was there Saturday afternoon for qualifications, and Sunday all day, and it was the most people. I mean, I've been going to that race now probably 7, 8, 9 straight, maybe even more years in a row. Obviously, I live pretty close to there, so there was the most people I've ever seen there. I mean, it was tough to walk around, even in the paddock, man. It was just shoulder to shoulder, ton of excitement, just kind of like around the race. Now, grandstands were packed. I mean, I sit in turn 1, which is usually like a sneaky spot, not a seat to be had. So man, the whole thing was packed. I mean, they had a ton of people there. Now, yeah, like I didn't get to watch it on TV yet. I recorded it. Haven't gotten to do that. But man, it was I guess it kind of was a little bit of a boring race in the beginning. All the drivers were being pretty darn cautious. You could tell. Like, I don't think I saw any passes in the first segment, but it got spicy at the end, and that's just I think guys trying to protect their rides and be careful. So. Man, I don't know. Like it was a pretty good atmosphere on the track and around the track for sure. I don't know. I'm not sure about the TV coverage though. I did hear about that.
That's great to hear. The fact that the stands were packed and that there was a great atmosphere. I too I only listened to the race because I was working most of the day during the race, but so I don't know what the broadcast was like or how hyped up it was, but as I was saying, there's a few things that they could tweak about it, get some excitement, and grow some different avenues of the sport. But you are on here. How did you do? How did you and Tony do on your gambling wages?
We did great, man. It was a great start to the IndyCar season. I will say one last point on the growing the sport thing. I talked to one of the guys from the F1 Money Gang and a little bit to Eric Smith, writer for IndyCar. And look, man, everybody was saying that there was much more comfort in talking about the gambling side, the sports betting side. Some of the drivers just weren't ignoring it. So that's cool. Like, I felt like more people were talking about the gambling. Obviously, Florida, this is the first year that Florida had legal sports betting with Hard Rock Bet. So there, you could bet on the race. Though Hard Rock pulled off all the odds, like, I'm hoping because they got inundated with IndyCar bets, they pulled them off kind of early, about an hour or two before the race. But man, there was a full betting menu early. And as far as I go, like, we came on the show. My best bet was Pato top 3 at plus 125. That's where the majority of my bankroll was. So that was really nice to start off the year with a big win. Yeah, I felt, it was not on, shame on me for not looking at Newgarden when he was 12-1. That was kind of disrespectful pre-practice for an ex-champion and a guy who, won 4 races last year. I looked at it, and he's just struggled on street courses in the last 2 years. So kind of went different direction there. So didn't have any Newgarden, but man, the Pato top 3, McLaughlin top 3, and top 5 both were big hits at over 2-1 for each of those. And then the one matchup that I played was Palou over Kirkwood, and that was an easy win as well. And I know I didn't have access to a couple of matchups, but in some of the talk on Twitter back and forth, or excuse me, X, before the race, I was, anybody that wanted to fade Grosjean, I was all about that as well, and that turned out to be a great move. So the McLaughlin top 3 paid well. The Pato top 3 was the best bet. It would have been great if Pato would have won, but I kind of had a feeling going into the race, like, there's a very good chance Joseph could just run away with this race. And he pretty much did. He dominated. Nobody even had a thing for him. I didn't even want a caution at the end because I wanted Pato just to lock up that top 3 and McLaughlin to sit there in third as well. So, man, it was great. It was a good start. Definitely way in the green, made more money than I lost. So it's always a good week.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, you and Tony were really hitting hard on Pato top 3, and I should have gone with it. I put money on Pato to win. Even though I chose on my prediction, I chose Herta to win because he was having a fantastic weekend up there on the practices and the qualifying. But I chose Pato, and once again he let me down. So probably will fade him the rest of the year. Probably not, but
hey, look, I mean, I was happy. I have McLaughlin and Pato to win the championship at 7-1. They come in second and third. Newgarden is kind of the guy who scares me. If he turns out he's really good on street courses, like, he's going to win the title because we know he's going to win Iowa. Milwaukee's got a doubleheader. That's sort of like a mini Iowa, kind of short oval track. Like, if he dominates and wins those 4 races, or 3 out of the 4, or even 2 out of the 4, and comes in second in the other 2, and all of a sudden he's putting podiums up on street courses, like, he's going to dominate. I had a Herta ticket too. I feel you there. I liked Herta. When I saw the tire designations at the beginning of the race. And there was a moment there after one of the first stint where Herta came out in the lead, and I think they ended up giving it back to Felix on like the out pit. They showed the replay on the track. But either way, Herta was right up front, and I was like, okay, like, I was pretty looking good. I was happy with a 10-1 Herta ticket as well. Obviously, I was rooting for Pato the whole way, and it was nice to see him kind of work his way up the field, do exactly what I thought. But yeah, Kirkwood is a big disappointment. I was really happy. Obviously, I don't have to deal with now my season win total fades, winning the first race and me sweating that out. So hopefully Dixon and Palou, Palou looked pretty good coming through the track. Dixon didn't look any good to me. So it's tough, man. This series is hard to bet. It's tough to cap. It's going to be tough to win, and qualifying is going to be super important every week to week until we get to some of the ovals. So yeah, man, excited to get the year started off right. And I have not seen any odds for Thermal, which I don't know, is that this weekend or 2 weeks from now? I don't even know.
2 weeks from now, it's on the 24th.
There you go. That's why we haven't seen any odds. I assume we'll get odds for that. I hope. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And yeah, we can go back and actually look at some of the testing times there and see who gets. We'll have a little bit of data we can dig up to see if we want to make some pre-race bets. But if the Penske cars all of a sudden put whenever Penske focuses on something like they did a little while back, like ovals, And now it seems like, according to Joseph, there was a ton of work done on street road course performances because they weren't happy with how they did last year. Well, they finished 1-3-4, I believe. So that's putting the rest of the field on notice. They might be back.
Definitely, and it's going to be interesting with never actually. I don't think they've ever actually had an official race at Thermal Club. We will have to focus mainly on that that testing data to see how we might want to put some money down on. Derik, do you have anything for Mike?
We got Derik's internet up and running again.
It's working. It's
Curious
working.
to see with this just being a non-points race. Do you still think that kind of like an exhibition?
I don't think I heard all that. Something about an exhibition. Say it again, Derik.
Do you think there will be odds put out by any of the betting books just due to the fact that this is a exhibition race, not a points race?
I hope so. Shit, man, we can bet on ping pong in China on a daily basis. We can bet on darts all over the country. So I would think that a IndyCar race, whether it be an exhibition or whatnot, you can bet on all-star games. You can bet on exhibitions for other sports. You can bet on the Pro Bowl. I've had an over ticket on the Pro Bowl before. I'm not ashamed to say. So. Yeah, so I would think that there's going to be odds. It might not be a ton, like a full race. There's no history, so I bet you we have to wait maybe till race day. But yeah, we'll hopefully see something. But follow me on. I'll keep checking, as we get to race week, and follow me on X. And as soon as I see odds, or a lot of time nowadays, it used to be me watching, but now people beat me to it, and I get alerts, and then I'll just retweet what people are sending me when the odds drop.
That's fantastic. Thanks for coming on, Mike. We will probably talk to you again next week in preparation for Thermal Club, and have a good rest of your week.
All right, boys. Take care. Have a good night.
Bye.
Always good stuff there, Josh, from Kim Out, as you see down there at the bottom of your screen there on Twitter or X at IndyBet. If you want to make a little bit of a side hustle, definitely him out, because when it comes to betting and specifically IndyCar, Josh, Mike and Tony and everyone over there definitely has things buttoned, to say the least. But one more thing before we get on out of here. As always, we have to thank our sponsors that make it possible for us to bring you this Push to Pass podcast every week, and hopefully I can get my internet issues fixed and try to figure out what the heck's going on, because I shut down everything that is hooked to the Wi-Fi and still getting internet connection issues. So definitely have to see what's going on. But besides that, like I said, two great sponsors of the show. Second year for them. Definitely looking to add more, and you may see more as we unfold the 2024 season. But thanks to Always Ready 1776, patriotic apparel, headwear, and so much more. Go check out Always Ready 1776 at Always Ready 1776. 6.com. And if you do find something that you do want to buy, want to wear, show your patriotism, that promo code you see right there, Push to Pass, for 10% off of your order. And then also the great folks over at Gettum Associates, design and remodeling contractors. For all your design, build, and remodeling needs, remember, it's Gettum Associates, and you can check them out on the World Wide Web, as they used to say, at Gettum.com. And then if you do find a design that you want to redo your home with, use Push to Pass for $250 off that design. So huge thank you to the great folks over at Always Ready 1776 and Gettum Associates for everything that they do and being sponsors of this wonderful program. Josh, with all of that, I think that I had laid out this evening, interesting race, I think, from St. Petersburg to wrap everything up. And, if Mike is hitting the nail on the head, and Team Penske worked in the all off season on road and street courses, we thought last year Alex Palou had a dominating season on Sunday. Josh, somebody from Team Penske, maybe preferably Joseph Newgarden, may have just as dominating season to what Palou had, or better. I'll give you the last word.
Definitely, if what Mike said was true, and Penske team put a premium on preparing for the road courses this year. I mean, they've already got an ace in the hole in the oval races in Newgarden, and now if like you said, if Penske is dialed into the road courses, we may be talking about an Alex Palou or better type of season. But it is a long season. There are several more races and more chances for other teams, Andretti, Dale Coyne, Juncos Racing. You can never count anyone out because you never know what's going to happen in these races. So it's looking like it's going to be a fun-filled season. And next up, we got Thermal Club, which like you said it's an exhibition, but even an exhibition, it's a $1 million purse, I do believe, $1 million to the winner. So when you put $1 million out there, everyone's going to want to come after it.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? You may even see Josh out there in a car trying to chase down that $1 million when it's all said and. But like I said, that does it for the Push to Pass podcast for recapping St. Petersburg. Huge thank you in either live, which again, sorry for all of the mishaps this evening, or if you do watch it at a later date and time, also thank you, Josh. Also, huge thank you to Mike for stopping by as always. Huge thank you to everyone that will tune in or has tuned in. And we will see you in 1 week's time talking about that exhibition race out at the Thermal Club. Until then, so long, everybody.